Hello and welcome to another video. So today I will be showing you my top 10 weapons in Terraria. This is just my opinion, and honestly most weapons in Terraria can be viable choices depending on gear and playstyle. Also, I rank the weapons based on when in the game you get them and how useful they are compared to other weapons at that stage in the game. So a pre-hard mode weapon might get ranked higher than a hard mode weapon because how good the pre-hard mode weapon is when you're able to get it. And I hope that makes sense. I'm doing this because otherwise, if I was just basing the ranking of damage, it would just basically be a list of the Moonlord weapons, so let's get started. Number 10, the Bee's Knees, pre-hard mode. This bow, when paired with wooden arrows, fires a special bee-like projectile which spawns 3 to 5 bees when it collides with enemies or solid blocks. The bow is dropped by the queen bee, which you can kill pretty early on in the game, pre-hard mode of course. You just need a decent weapon. Well, you can basically access the jungle and the bee lair as soon as you spawn in the game. I like this weapon a lot since it's very effective against the wall of flesh. The bees can swarm around the hungry as well as the wall itself. And it's also quite good for crowd control, as the bees do some damage. And this is a highly recommended weapon for rangers and one of the best bow pre-hard mode. Water Bolt, pre-hard mode. This weapon is obtainable after defeating Skeletron in pre-hard mode, making this weapon available quite early as well. You get it by destroying blue books on bookshelves in dungeons. The Water Bolt fires blue projectiles that travels through enemies and bounces off walls, making it especially effective in caves and small areas. Water Bolt can deal a lot of damage with the right gear and in the right situation. This weapon is also great against the wall of flesh and when exploring caves or the jungle even. Number 8, the Icicle, hard mode. This weapon fires a projectile that deals melee damage, so no ammo or mana required. The projectile pierces through enemies. This weapon is especially effective against worm-like enemies, such as the Destroyer, which is one of the first bosses you will encounter in hard mode, and also for crowd control in closed areas, and even open ones, to be honest. You can obtain the Icicle by killing armored Vikings, ice elementals, icy mermans, and ice tortoises in the snow biome during hard mode. Mega Shark, hard mode. This gun can be crafted after defeating the Destroyer. It's basically an upgraded version of the Mini Shark, so it fires bullets at an insanely fast speed and is capable of dealing very high damage if you pair it with the right bullets, gear and accessories. A must get for most rangers, to be honest. And this gun is also viable quite long into hard mode. You can use it against Terra and the Golem even. The downside is that you will need a ton of bullets, and it's not really viable against groups of enemies. More like one strong enemies it's perfect against, but using it against, 3 or 4 enemies, not really that efficient against using at regular enemies, because you will need some buffs and decent bullets for this to be really effective, which you normally don't use against regular enemies, but against bosses it works nicely. Number 6. The Hellfire and Amarok, hard mode. So these are the only 2 yo-yos on this list. The reason they are so high on the list is because once you enter hard mode, you're able to buy an accessory called the yo-yo glove. When you have the yo-yo glove equipped, your yo-yo gets duplicated when you attack an enemy, therefore doubling the damage. I would recommend combining the yo-yo glove, a counterweight and a white string to craft the yo-yo bag, which basically combines these 3 accessories for max efficiency when yo-yoing. I would say that this gives you some of the highest melee damage available so early on in the game. So early on in hard mode, I should say. The Hellfire is obtained by killing any enemy in the bottom half of the cave and layer and the underworld, and it's a 1 in 400 drop rate. The Amarok is obtained by killing any enemy in the snow biome, 1 in 300 drop rate. The drop rate might seem kind of low, but keep in mind that you just have to kill regular enemies, so it should not take too long to obtain these weapons. As I said, a yo-yo combined with a yo-yo bag provides amazing DPS. And also keep in mind that if you are planning to keep using yo-yos, you will of course be able to keep the yo-yo bag and then upgrade your yo-yos as you progress. Number 5. Are Callous and Enchanted Sword, pre-hard mode. So these swords are found in underground sword shrines. They can be kind of tricky to find. I've actually made a video about the best way of finding them, which I would highly recommend watching if you are interested in getting these weapons. There should be a card on screen right now that redirects you to that video. There is a 1 in 3 chance that this sword in the shrine contains a real one, and then a 1 in 10 chance that that weapon is the Callous. And in my opinion, the Callous is the best sword pre-hard mode. It's even viable in early hard mode as well, with the right gear. Honestly, the Enchanted sword isn't bad either. It's still one of the better pre-hard mode weapons. Especially considering that you can get it so early on. Basically as soon as you spawn in the world. But good luck finding them though. Number 4. Grenade and Benade, pre-hard mode. These are two of my favorite pre-hard mode weapons, especially since you can get the regular grenades very early on. They are found in chests, and once you've obtained an explosive so that the demolitionist moves in, you can just buy them from him. They deal insane damage for how early you get them, and the explosion can harm multiple enemies. I would have ranked them higher if it wasn't for the fact that they can also deal damage to the player if you're not careful enough. But if you take your time practicing with this weapon, you will be greatly rewarded. And the Benades work similar to the Bee's Knees bow. When they explode, they spawn a swarm of enemies that home in on enemies. Once again, incredibly effective in small areas and against the wall of flesh. Also great against Eater of Worlds and Brain of Cthulhu, and in caves. Number 3, Terrablade, hard mode. This sword has one of the highest base damage among any sword in the game. When swinging the sword, it also fires green projectiles, which deals as much damage equal to the sword, meaning that by standing close to an enemy and hitting it with both the blade and the projectile, you will basically deal double the damage. The only downside to this weapon is that it's very tedious to craft, requiring multiple different swords and materials. You will be able to get this after defeating all 3 mechanical bosses, and I will put a link in the description to the wiki, which has a detailed list of everything you will need. Despite the annoying crafting steps, it's a great weapon and it's worth getting, and it's viable basically all throughout hard mode once you have obtained it. It's great. Number 2, Golden Shower, Crystal Storm and Cursed Flames. 3 other weapons that are available early on in hard mode. So I decided to group all these together as they are basically each other's counterpart. The Crystal Storm fires tiny crystals at an insanely fast speed with decent damage, so the DPS is quite high for a weapon obtainable so early. The Cursed Flames fires green fireballs, which inflicts the Cursed Inferno debuff, which deals some damage over time, and the fireballs themselves also deal a decent amount of damage. The fireballs also pierces through enemies and bounce off walls. And the Golden Shower, yeah, it's actually called that, fires a golden stream that deals damage and inflicts the Icicle debuff. This weapon is actually very good for its piercing stream, but the best thing about it is the Icicle debuff that lowers enemies' defense by 20, which is a lot. All these are of course viable for mages, and if you are a mage I would recommend all of them, to be honest. Even if you aren't a mage, I would recommend using the Golden Shower to decrease your opponent's defense and then switch to the Crystal Storm for max DPS. Number 1, Daedalus Storm Bow, hard mode. Yes, I know I've mentioned this bow so many times before in these videos, but in my opinion this is one of the best weapons since you're able to get it basically as soon as you enter hard mode. The Stormbow has a 25% drop rate from Hallowed Mimics. The weapon is incredibly effective against the 3 mechanical bosses, especially if you pair it with Holy Arrows. Holy Arrows can be kind of tedious to obtain though, so using them against regular enemies might not be a good idea. So what you should do instead is equip a full set of Frost Armor, the Endless Quiver, and use the Stormbow with those. You will now have unlimited wooden arrows that inflict frostburn, which is really cool. The one downside to this bow is that since the arrows, I should say, rain down from the sky, arrows can actually collide with the top blocks above your head, so the arrows might not even reach the enemies, which is kind of annoying, so you can really only use it in big open areas. But anyways, it's a great weapon that I would recommend any ranger to get. Anyways, thank you for watching the videos. I would like to know which is your favorite weapon in the game, or which weapons do you consider to be the best. Let me know in the comments below, and I hope to see you in the next video.